Good morning, buddy. Everybody? Good morning, buddy. Good morning, everybody. What is up? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And it's the morning vibe, and people are already jumping into the room. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It is June 2nd. We have had a week of heat in Toronto. I mean, we're getting another day above 30 degrees Celsius plus humidity. And we're loving it. We're loving it. My grass is not loving it, but I'm loving it. So thanks for stopping by, whether it's live or on the replay. Appreciate it, not taken for granted. So a few housekeeping rules. First things first. If you are up to it, and if you have not done it yet, please like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. And if you do like it on YouTube, also hit the notification button so you get notified for Epic Conversations. You can also like it on Facebook and LinkedIn on the Dr. Vibe Show, and also any of the platforms that Ryan is on, Ryan Knight. And usually Ryan is with me. He's not with me this morning, so I'm going hand solo this morning. Also, we discussed, we introduced it last Friday. We have launched the Morning Vibe Discord group. And if you don't know what Discord is, it's a group chat thing similar to your Facebook groups, your WhatsApp, but I monitor it and less junk. We're just talking for intelligent melanated people or intelligent people. Come on to the Discord. So if you want to jump on that, please email me. I'll send you an invite and you can join the conversation. I want to shout out FitNance IQ Cam. She's already joined it. So thank you very much. And just want to say hello to everybody. Chime in where you are from. Oh, Fiona Gobin. Good morning, Fiona. She is event coordinating the Black Ecosystem Conference that's happening at the end of this month in Windsor. And I know as we're getting close to that, we're going to have a few people that are involved with the Black Ecosystem Conference in Windsor going to be on. And Fiona is holding it down with that. And Aldofina, great to see you also. Great to see you also. It's been an interesting week. Had a lot of wonderful things happen actually, and Wayne Harris will be with us in a minute on Financial First Fridays, which we do every month on the Morning Vibe. I had a chance yesterday to go to a very interesting event put on by the Interactive Advertising Bureau. And people going, okay, what's that? What's that? Well, basically it was a one-day full conference where people talk about digital advertising or the effects of digital on advertising and some really in-depth stuff. Some of the stuff was way over my head. But the last thing I went to was a gentleman who runs an ad agency or media company. And what he did, I'll be open. One of their clients is Kobo, the Kobo Reader, if you're familiar with the Kobo Reader. And what he did is him and his internal team did an ad campaign for Kobo using AI, mainly ChatGPT. So the copy for it, the images, all that done via ChatGPT. So think about those. So people who are in content creators, media industry, was an incredible sharing session, and he showed all the prompts that he used, etc. And it was very, very fascinating. And at the end, I also have to shout out Roger Dundas, co-founder and publisher of BuyBlacks.com. He invited me to come with him. So thank you so much, Roger. And also with me was Charles Matthews, CMJ Productions, another great online broadcaster, event coordinator, event producer. It was a great day. So gentlemen, thanks very much. I'll make sure I show the picture of all of us there on Monday. But yeah, it was really good. And Charles asked this gentleman who was doing this presentation at the end, he said, just me and you. No, forget everybody else in the room, just me and you. How would you rate your experience doing this with ChatGPT, doing a campaign, campaign with ChatGPT versus working with an agency, a PR marketing agency? And it took him no more than 5 seconds, said ChatGPT was a better experience, more wide ranging, creatively, etc. And yeah, the time that they saved. So I've reached out to the gentleman. I'm hoping to get him to come on the platform, because I think that some of you would find this interesting to see what ChatGPT can do for you, whether you're in the media industry, content creation industry, definitely. And on Thursday night, I actually have to shout out Black Canadian content creator Shirley Joseph, who runs that great group. They had their first, I guess, live event at what's the place? Okay, Loom Kitchen and Lounge on 72 Park Lawn. Very nice event. Hey, so we got some people already in the house. So let's just say some morning to other people. Fitness IQ Cam, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Hear You. And Roger Dundas. There you go. Roger, yesterday not really good. And thanks again. And the number of some of the people that I met, I know Roger met a lot of people, really great day. And having lunch on the 4th floor of Artscape down on Queens Quay, very nice. It was hot though. It was hot. I had to go inside because the sweat was just coming down off my face. But other than that, fantastic. So happy to have everyone here this morning. As usual, chime in, family. And I guess leading into AI, Fitness IQ Cam, yes, please bring him on. I don't know if you're talking about Wayne or the gentleman who did the presentation yesterday, but I'm hoping you're saying both. But yeah, so leading into that, for those who, yeah, so there you go. Roger says digital day camp was so worth it. Absolutely. Roger, I don't know if you want to talk about that certain incident where we had to move and that table, that comment, that word they used about the situation, that one word, but you can tell me if you want to chat about that later. But yeah, so we're going to slide in something. So if you do follow the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube, you see that I put out YouTube shorts. And for those who don't know what YouTube shorts are, they're like 1 minute video clips, short video content. And this week, was about 2 or 3 days ago, I put up a video clip of Mr. Wayne Harris talking about AI when he was on last month, and it has almost 1,400 views. So I sent it to Wayne, and he goes, "What's this? I didn't know what YouTube Shorts is." And I said, "Wayne, I thought you knew everything." but you know what? Let's bring Wayne up. As always, what is up, my man? How you doing?
Excellent, doctor. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Always good to see you. How are you and family doing?
Life is much better. It's June. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I'm just like,
it's crazy.
It's
crazy.
Like, it's just so going so fast. I'm going, wow. How's the last month been for you?
Last month was okay. I'm really trying to focus on the future and resetting myself for the rest of the year. Right? It's been a rough first quarter.
Yeah.
Second quarter has been better, and now I'm just looking forward to going into the summer and enjoying time with friends and family.
Well said. So before we get started, I haven't done this for a while, but I love sharing thoughts or quotes from people. And last night, a gentleman named Dr. George Fraser. And if you're melanated, I hope you know who he is. If you're not whether you're melanated or not, you should know who he is. But especially if you're melanated, you need to know Dr. George Fraser. He is a true elder. And he was on with Dr. Boyce Watkins last night. And he was dropping serious knowledge bombs. And two that I'm going to put up, and then we'll let Wayne come on. First thing he said, your partner is either going to make your life heaven or hell.
Fair point.
And he said that the most important decision a melanated person is going to make in their life is who their partner is going to be.
I agree with that. In 1997, I went to a marriage retreat with the church that I belonged to at the time. And the pastor got up there and he said, there are 3 reasons relationships break down. I've been using this since 1997. He said, they're called the 3 ins, I-N. The first in is income. If you have poor income, kind of my jam.
Yeah.
You have poor income, or one person is a big saver, the other person is a big spender, and you're not on the same page, you're going to have some challenges in the marriage. The second in is the obvious one, infidelity. So if you step out and they're not comfortable with you stepping out, because some people are, I won't mention Will and Jada, but some people are, and infidelity. And then the third is insecurity, trust issues, and jealousy issues. And then over IG, and my son is like, you're just an IG researcher. I said, I go to IG to start, and then if the concept makes sense, I'll find the full clip and then digest the full clip. And this person said it wasn't an in, but it was a lack of communicating your needs, but expecting the other person to know what you want.
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly. Yep.
I'm like, okay, I'm adding that to my kung fu, and that's the fourth pillar of why relationships work and don't work, because that is the irreconcilable differences we always hear about.
There you go. And then the other quote out of many that Dr. Fraser dropped, and this is just at his beginning of his talk. This is at the end. This is at the beginning. I said, okay. So the other one, and this one really hit me, said, our people, he's talking about melanated people, says, our people will not change when they see the light. They'll only change when they feel the heat.
I have to agree with this one as well. It's interesting because I was told back in the early 90s that you can learn from experience or you can learn from wisdom. And if you learn from wisdom, it means you take someone else's experience and they tell you, don't touch that. And you don't touch it, that's wisdom. But if you have to touch it to feel your hand get burned in order for you to learn, that's called trial and error. And that's a very ineffective way to learn when you have access to mentorship through wisdom. So I agree with this one as well.
There you go. And I'm going to try and get Dr. Fraser on in the very near future, because he's one of those individuals that when he talks, I just shut up. Like, because he's got the wisdom. And also just another thing in light of his partner, he's been married to, he goes, the same black sister for 50 years.
Yeah, I'm right behind him. I'm coming up on 31.
Right. And he said that, and she's put up with a lot of blank from him. And basically, and about 36 of those 50 years, he has been doing his stuff about networking and all that stuff. So he has that wisdom that is so valuable. So just wanted to start off with that. And before we get right into the topic, someone else jumped in, want to say hello. And Fitness IQ Cam says, hope the second quarter treats you kind. Maybe the second half of the year treats you kind, Mr. Wayne. I love that, Mr. Wayne.
Appreciate
All right. You got a multifaceted comments happening today. You want to talk about using leverage to invest, digital currencies, US dollar versus BRICS, and inflation. So before you get into it, this word leverage, when it comes to finances, I'm going to be honest, I had really no vision of it to the last number of years.
Right.
So can you explain to us leverage in the context of financing?
Sure. Leverage is basically taking what you already have and using it to borrow money. So you have an asset that you can collateralize. So you can use that asset as collateral, and you use that collateral to get funds so you can take those funds to invest. So let's say you have an RRSP, right? And for those of you who have RRSPs, you understand that at 71, the RRSP becomes a RIF, Registered Retirement Income Fund, and the government mandates that you take a minimum amount every year out of the RSP, whether you want to or not, because you've been saving on tax and reducing your tax for years and years and years, and now the government wants its pound of flesh. So at 71, it says, everybody who's in the RSP, good luck, because now I need you to take some money out, five and change percent out every year, and that number of 5% increases every year until you die, until that RIF, either you pass away and it gets transferred to your beneficiaries, should you have beneficiaries, or it goes to your estate where it will be taxed. So to avoid that, or to reduce that event, because let's say you're 71, you're still making really, really good money. Well, when that RIF comes out, it might put you beyond the minimum tax you need to be at in order to keep all your CPP and keep all your old age security. So now you paid into this thing for 40 years, 50 years. And then the government says, hey, you're too rich. You don't need it. We're going to take it back and force you to get taxed on money that you may have earned 30, 40, 50 years ago. So this is what they don't put in the commercials for the RRSP. It's, oh yeah, RSPs are a great thing if you make enough money for it to make sense. But even if you don't make enough money, but you plan on making that money, the RSP is great for things like first-time buyer. And I'm sure Ray McMillan and the folks who do mortgages will say, hey, RSP, you can use $35,000 of it. It's great. Use it for that. But when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in RSP, and that's going to kick out at 5%. So let's say you got $1 million in there. You got to kick out 5% or more. Ouch, because that's coming to step as income in that year. And right. You have no choice but for it to come out. So the government's going to be like, hey, thank you for this money. We appreciate you giving it to us. So what we want to do is we want to look at your RSP and take, let's say you have an RSP of $250,000. You can borrow $250,000 because you have $250,000. You can borrow $250,000. You take that $250,000 and you invest it in something that's going to generate dividends and capital gains, right? And dividends and capital gains get taxed at a lesser rate than interest.
Okay.
So now when you pull the money out, because you're investing this money, the interest on that loan is tax deductible. And then you take the money out of the RSP, whatever the amount is to pay back the loan on an annual basis, and that loan is reducing your RSP because you're taking from the RSP and reducing the RSP, but you're growing your money because you put in a lump sum as leverage. So now you've got two buckets of money, your RSP bucket and your leverage investment bucket. The leverage investment bucket is going to grow, and the taxation on that is going to be lesser than the RSP, and there's no trigger at 71, and there's no only 18% that you can put in, whereas the RSP, it's only 18% you can put in of your gross income every year. There is no limits on the unregistered investment. So it's a beautiful thing. You take the money out if you need it. You take out as much as you want, when you want, and you're tax advantaged with the leverage account. So what does all that mean? It means you have the ability to catch up, because many of us in the community didn't invest in RSPs until they were in their 30s and 40s. Some people are only starting to do it now in their 50s. So we need to look at, does it make sense that you have an RSP? And if it makes sense for an RSP, does it make sense for you to have millions of dollars in that RSP? Because if you have millions of dollars in that RSP, when the government comes, you're going to have to pay. And you have a very short runway, because if you're doing RSPs in your 40s or 50s, you can only invest it until you're 71, and then it comes back at you.
Yeah. So then, before we move forward, Wayne, and thanks for breaking it down, is it worth, I guess it depends what stage you are in your journey called life, to invest in an RSP?
The answer is it depends. If you're 18 years old, you can put money into an RSP. Now, chances are you're in such a low tax bracket that you're not going to be able to benefit from any tax deductions it's going to give you. But you can push those tax deductions forward for when you make more money. You don't have to take them right now. So you can take them at a future date when you're going to make more money. So let's say you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, and you haven't taken those deductions. Now you've graduated university. Now you're making $75,000, $80,000 a year. And now you can use some of the RSP to reduce your income. But you've been investing since you were 18, and the money has been compounding since you were 18. This is the good news of the RSP. And if you're going to put that money in there and you can get that money to 35,000, now you have money for a down payment on a house. So if you are there and you have a partner and the partner's there, that's 35 from you, 35 from them, that's $70,000 to put down on the house, plus the new first-time buyers program. That's another $40,000 you'll have, another $40,000 they'll have. That's $75,000 each. That's $150,000. Might be enough to get you a garage in Toronto. Might be enough.
Okay. All right. So where do you want to go to next after might be able to get a garage?
All right. So the key here is, if you weren't, the ideal thing is you're 18 years old and most people have student loans or other debts, or are still getting their act together financially, so they don't have the money. But if you're putting away $100 or $200 a month away when you're 18 years old, by the time you're my age, you're basically a millionaire if you can get a decent rate of return on that money. Most people aren't thinking that way at that age, so they start later, in their late 20s or 30s, after they paid back the OSAP, after they've done, bought that BMW they shouldn't have bought used for an interest rate from a guy they shouldn't have bought the car from, and they paid that off. Then they look to start saving, and now they're in their 30s and they've lost 20 years of investing opportunity. So by using leverage, you can use that as lump sum to invest in the market, rather than $100, $200, $300 a month or $500 a month. When you're younger, you put a lump sum in, 200,000, 300,000, 100,000 in the market, and then let that big lump sum work for you and grow to give you some catch up. So especially for our community where we're starting investing late, leverage, dangerous because they could call the loan and collateral's collateral. But if you are in the right market at the right time and you have an advisor, it might make sense to, I'm not saying borrow the full amount of your collateral, but maybe 50,000 and get into the market. Because here's what everyone is saying, and I've heard enough about this on the Canadian and American and the international news. Winter is coming. There's going to be a big recession in the third or fourth quarter of this year. Things are supposed to get really, really, really bad. Well, if you are proactive and you know things are really going to become really, really, really bad, it might be a time to go out, depending on the interest rate you're going to get the money at, depending on what you know and what you want to do and what your strategies are, to have that lump sum of cash ready to buy those companies that you know are severely undervalued. Right? So you have to know what it is you want to do. Now, you can buy stocks, you can buy mutual funds, you can buy segregated funds, you can buy other things. But what you're basically saying is, if the market is going to do what it did in 1987, just drop like a rock, during those couple of days when it dropped like a rock, people who knew what they were doing put money into the companies that they knew were severely undervalued. And what does value mean? That's a whole different conversation about what's value, what's undervalued, what's overvalued. Someone said, that's too expensive, right? You go to someone and they say $22 for an oxtail. You go, what? $22 for an oxtail? Oxtail used to be $16. Why is it 22? Well, inflation and this and that, right? So oxtail is overvalued. So think of a stock like an oxtail. You're like, hey, it is too much money for that. $23 for an oxtail. I've heard of some restaurants want $40 for oxtail. I'm like, listen, I'm not paying it. I'm not paying it. I'll pay $20 for a large oxtail, maybe with tax $22 max. And I'm buying oxtail less often because it's so expensive, right? But you imagine back in the day, you get a large oxtail $14. Those days are over. So you have to know what the value is of what you want. But if you follow, let's say, Nike as your stock, and Nike is trading at $100, and it's been trading at $100 and going up by 10% every year, and it's been doing its thing, and Nike is now worth $15, and Nike's not going out of business, it would behoove you to buy Nike at $15, knowing it's going to come back to its natural value over time, and sooner rather than later. So this is what we're looking for, is the opportunity is to buy the dip or buy the bottom of the market
and hold on to it.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of people, I've been told, the rich get rich when they buy low and they hold on to it. They don't, like when it goes up in price, they don't just ditch it. They hold on to it. Like, perfect example. Let me get to Aldavina says, yes, LOL, think of a stock like Oxtail.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Yes, nice example. Perfect example. There was a time when the market was going down with computer stocks, but I know Fitness IQ put something up on this, but I've been listening to it for a while. NVIDIA, the chip maker. What? And they're the main chip maker for AI components.
Yes.
So people, if you just take a look at the stock chart for NVIDIA, it's ridiculous. And it's only going to go higher.
Yeah.
See, but you look for companies that are related in that space that are of lower price right now. If you're going to do that, or go to someone like Wayne who can give you some vision, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy the stock if you know what you're doing. You can buy the index for that bucket of stocks. So buying the index basically is a pool of stocks in a particular sector, and you buy the sector because you don't know the individual stocks well enough. So you buy a bucket of stocks in that sector, and you can buy the Standards and Poor's. So you can buy the TSX. You don't have to buy individual stocks in TSX, and it'll go up and down and do its thing over time. And I'm going to show. We'll try some graphics this week and show you a chart on what is possible. The key here is this: if you haven't been diligent in putting in money every month since you were 18, and I would say 90% of the people I talked to did not do that, myself included. Yep. You can catch up by using leverage to take a lump sum and put it into the market. But once you put it in the market, you don't have. There's something called market timing. And market timing is the unicorn of investing. It means that you know before anyone else when the market's going to go up, and you know before anyone else when the market's going to go down. And people have made millions and billions of dollars selling courses and books on this, and it is a lie. No one knows.
That's true.
No one knows.
True.
So what you have to do is you have to de-risk yourself by saying, listen, this is now showing me week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, I see a trend that is going one way or the other, and I'm going to make a bet. And sometimes I'll win and sometimes I'll lose. The key is I was in the market, because the challenge is we are not in the market, the financial market, and that is the biggest risk for you, because you're not even in the game. You don't even know the game's going on. You don't know what the game is. You don't know the rules.
Right.
So if your money, and we've said this multiple times on this show, if your money is not beating inflation, if it's not beating inflation, we're going to talk about inflation in a little bit, probably a good segue. If it's not beating inflation, inflation's at 4.3%. If you have money sitting somewhere and it's not making 4.3%, you are losing. That money is worth less and less because it's not beating inflation. And then it has to beat not just inflation, but it has to beat taxes. How is it taxed? So if you add taxes and inflation, can you still beat that number? So if you add taxes and inflation, is your return higher than taxes and inflation? If it is not, you are losing the real value of your money. You have to be above that.
Right.
And we talked about it weeks ago, the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is take 72 and divide it by the rate of return after inflation is included, after taxes are included, and it will tell you how long it's going to take for your money to double. There are very few places you can put money that after taxes and inflation will beat zero.
Exactly.
Other than the stock market.
That's true.
Which is like Floyd Mayweather, never lost. Or LeVar Ball, big baller brand. He's never lost. So the stock market has lost in instances, but over time, over the last 80 years,
it's always gone up.
Never lost.
Yeah.
So if you're not there, you are already losing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, before we go further, Fitness IQ Cam, yes, NVIDIA or AMD also says, however, look at TSM that makes NVIDIA. Do your due diligence and research. And she says the rule of 72 is the best way to learn.
Facts. Okay.
So where you want to go next?
All right, let's see if I can get the slide up. Let's see if we get this working.
Let's see if we can make it happen. So we're taking a big jump today. The 1.3 thousand 1,300 view man is gonna put some new stuff on us here. Okay, to stream. All right, I think we got it happen. There we go.
You see it? All right.
Everyone can see it on the screen. We are on fire. Go for it.
Okay, so the Bank of Canada rate hike coming, right? We're watching what the Americans are doing, and the Americans are saying, yeah, we don't know. So the market's like, you know what, we're going to continue doing what we're doing while we wait. But if you look at 2013, you're looking at inflation around 1%, right? And it's doing its thing. It's going to 2, it's going to 3, and it's hovering between 1 and 3. 2020, it goes down to 0, right?
Yep.
COVID. And then look at what happens from COVID till now. I mean, people were getting killed towards the end of 2022. 8%. It was crazy. And we thought it was going to go to 10. Honest to God, if it had gone to 10, it would have broken the backs of a lot of people. Even now, at 4 and change, it is breaking the backs of people. People are renewing their mortgage, and their payments have gone up crazy. Or what a lot of companies are doing, if you have the opportunity, is they're saying, we'll keep the payment the same, but we're going to extend the amortization, which is normally 25 or 30 years, to 50, 60, and 70 years.
Wow.
Wow. Talk about never paying off your card, never paying off your house.
Oh, 70?
70 years, 72 years. And when you have Raymond Millen, he can talk about that. But having amortizations of over 70 years, because you have to keep the payment the same.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So if we look at total inflation, you can see the numbers. And, you know, this is month over month. So it's moving. There's more up than down. And we're hoping to get back to 3%. Bank of Canada will let us know.
It's interesting because I heard a report from one of the members of the Fed in the U.S. saying that they think they're still going to have to raise inflation, the rate still.
This is what I'm hearing, and we'll see what they do. They're going to watch the numbers for the first 5 months and see what they're going to do. But again, it all depends on what goes on in Russia. It depends on what goes on in Ukraine. You know, all these sort of things that are going on.
Okay, so before you get, so we're going to go live on IG because I really want the IG people who come on either live on the replay to hear this section. So we're going to be going live right now on the Morning Vibe on June 2nd. Dr. Vibe here and with Wayne Harris on our monthly first Financial Fridays. And I'm really wanting to hear about this subject that if people aren't aware about it, you need to hear about it. The US dollar versus BRICS. Wayne, take it away. And for those on Instagram, you can't see a chart, but that's why you need to go to the Dr. Vibe show and either watch this live or watch it on the replay. Go for it. And good morning, Ray McMillan on Instagram Live. Go ahead, Wayne.
Perfect. Thank you. So which slide are you seeing?
I'm seeing the US dollar staying power.
Perfect. So everyone's basically calling for the end of the US dollar being a reserve currency of the world. Here's what we know. Every country on the planet holds US dollars. Every country on the planet. And if they want to trade with certain countries, they have to use the US dollar. This is why the USA can say, listen, we're going to put sanctions on you. Why? Because you're not trading in Wayne dollars or Dr. Vibe dollars. You're trading in US dollars. And because you're trading in US dollars, you have to kowtow to the Americans because you're using their currency, not your own. Which is why these guys are saying, listen, the Americans have way too much control over how we do business. And why should the US dollar be involved in two countries that are not dealing with the United States? But that's how it's been done from time. So if you look at the blue is the US dollar. That's over 60% of everyone's reserves around the world. That's a lot of money. It's going to take at a minimum 20 years before people get rid of all those US dollars before they can decide they're going to trade on something else. So take a look at the euro over the last 20 some odd years. The euro hasn't really moved from 20% of the currency that people are holding in reserve. Look at the British pound in green,
Oh,
next to nothing over the last 23 years.
right.
Let's look at the Japanese yen, because the Japanese were supposed to take over in the 80s. That didn't happen. And the Japanese don't want their currency being number one, because that's going to make things too expensive in Japan for them. They want to sell things when the Japanese yen is very, very cheap. So it's very inexpensive for you to buy your Japanese products.
Right.
Right? Chinese dollar, well, listen, that's centrally controlled by the government, and they can't allow their dollar to be controlled by the market. They want to control it themselves. They're communists, so they want to control it. So it can't be the reserve currency, because the world is not going to allow one country, China, to have a control over that money without having it being able to float internationally, with the government being so manipulative of the currency. So if you look at this chart and you think about what you're hearing on the various social medias and the various pundits to get rid of these trillions of dollars that are out there that control 60% of the market, not going to happen, bro. It's not going to happen for 20 years. And if someone can show me how this is going to happen in the next 18 months, where trillions of dollars are just going to be given up on, not going to happen. It can't. It'll destabilize the entire world market. It can't happen.
Well, it's interesting you bring this up, and and can you explain to people who may not know what BRICS is?
Sure. BRICS is a group of countries coming together to create another reserve currency for themselves away from the US dollar. So B is for Brazil, R is for Russia, I is for India, C is for China, S is for South Africa. And they're trying to move off the US dollar as a reserve currency, because it gives the US too much power over their country. Why? Because when the US says, we're going to put sanctions and you're trading in US dollars, you got a problem. And the US is doing that, has done that, for many, many years. Go ahead.
No, it's interesting. I was reading a recent article in Forbes, and if people, they may feel, those countries feel like it's unfair, but the Chinese ain't the nice behavior people either, because the Chinese have put a lot of money into a lot of countries, and a lot of these countries are not able to keep up with the interest payments, and they're going into financial collapse.
Well, China doesn't want them to collapse. What China wants is say, listen, you need new roads because you want to show people you're a baller country. You need new hotels. You need new buildings. We got you. You need a seaport, airport, train station. We got you. Well, what if I default on this loan? Hey, no problem. Listen, you see those trees over there? Under those trees is cobalt, lithium, gold, diamonds. How about you just give us access to that if you can't pay us back? Fair deal. Fair deal. I'll take that deal, says the president of whatever country. And they go and they get great roads, and you see all the advertising about, come to country A, come to country B, and everything looks magnificent, very, very Western. The same hotels, same roads, the houses are gorgeous. Let me show you what this is worth in so-and-so country. Let me show you what that's worth. And you see people walking through, and you see the lifestyle over there is amazing. But how do they get your money to feed all that? Well, they're using the Chinese money today. They were using the British money before. They're using the French and the American money and the Portuguese money. Now they're using the Chinese money. Because what we're finding is, and I'll speak on Africa, but I've been researching this over the last little while, is that Africa is the cradle of all resources you could ever want on the planet. It can be found there. There's very few things that cannot be found in great abundance on the continent of Africa. The challenge is the means of getting to those things. Africans don't have the capital to go get that done, so they bring in partnerships, they bring in other companies to go in there to exploit those resources. And sometimes the deals that they're doing are not in the best interest of the population, but in the best interest of the politicians and in the best interest of the elite in those countries to maintain status quo. So what China is doing is not unlike what the British did and the other
and the Americans did. Same thing.
Same thing. So, Peter or Paul, it's not in your pocket. And what some African countries are trying to do is they're trying to say, listen, we just don't want to supply you with the cocoa beans. We want to do cocoa and chocolate processing in Africa because we want to build that capability. But the Europeans and the Americans and the other countries know that if they give Africa, or Africa starts building that capability, those countries that have nothing but status, but no real resources, no real money per se, all their money comes from the exploitation of the African continent. France, for example, one of the worst out there. They know that if these African countries that were former colonies of theirs start becoming independent and do not require France, they're done. So how do you have people retire at 62 in France and have 10 weeks of vacation? You have the 26 African countries and the former colonies give every penny they make in their treasury to France and borrow back their own currency at commercial rates from France. And trade not in euros, which France trades on, but trade in French francs, which are trash.
Is that a gangster move?
It is the most gangster move in modern history, where I am living in poverty, but you are living on 10 weeks vacation and retiring at 62 off of my treasury and my output. And by the way, I can't even use another country to do major infrastructure projects in my country without you having first right of refusal, but I'm independent.
Wow. Just want to catch up here. Thanks, MITP, Jamaica, Educators Who Pray, Fraser 60B, for all the way from Edinburgh, Scotland, watching on the ID or IG, and also Rondell Music. Thank you for stopping by. You are catching a bit of the Morning Vibe, which is live Monday and Friday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'm Dr. Vibe, not with Ryan Knight today, but with Wayne Harris, who's our first Financial Fridays friend each first Friday of the month. We're talking about the US dollar versus BRICS. So Wayne, what is BRICS a real threat? Or what's it not say a threat? Is it BRICS? What do you feel the odds of BRICS becoming more prominent? And actually, there's a question, 2 comments here. So let me just put, Trevor says, so call putting money into countries. What is really happening behind the scenes? And also Hayden, hey Hayden, what's up? Hey Trevor, what's up? Is BRICS backed by gold, and how would you factor in the gold backing?
Yeah, I mean, this is gold backing is what we were on and what the United States was on until the 70s. Nixon changed the game, and that allowed the American dollar to really expand its reach, but devalue itself, because it's worth less than it was worth in 1971 because it's not backed by gold. America still has gold reserves, and all these countries have gold reserves. But having money backed by gold makes the money more valuable as long as everybody agrees that gold is the standard, and that's what they call it, the gold standard.
Right.
When your money is not backed by gold, it's backed by reputation, right? And reputation, you go to the bank and say, I want to pay my mortgage with reputation. And they'll be like, are you crazy? But that's exactly what the Americans are doing, what the Canadians are doing. Anybody who doesn't have their money backed by gold is basically saying, take a look at my numbers. Trust me, where our economy is strong, you should continue to trade in our dollars. So backing it by gold strengthens it and reduces the amount of inflation that can be caused by the devaluation of the dollar, because the devaluation of the dollar means you're devaluing gold.
Yep.
Right? And that's a little harder to do. Although gold was only $400 an ounce 20 years ago.
Not anymore.
Now it's about 2,000. And it may go higher or may go lower. I don't know. But what I do know is that the US's influence around the world is because it is the reserve currency for oil and the largest amount of treasury and reserves for most countries on the planet. And that's why the United States is numero uno and will remain so for at least another 20 years. These guys can do what they want to do. And if Russia is trading with South Africa, why should Russia and South Africa trade in US dollars?
Right. Exactly.
That's all you're saying.
But here's my question, and going back in my university days, all these things, when these countries band together, you have to assume they're all going to abide and be on best behavior. Why do I feel China wants to be calling the shots in this?
Well, China has the largest footprint from, well, not even anymore. India has the largest population. China is next, and Africa is right there. So South Africa is only one of 54 countries in Africa. The other countries that are looking to join them are, again, our economies that have been, for lack of a better term, done dirty by the World Bank and the IMF, International Monetary Fund. And
Mm-hmm.
these countries may want to join BRICS because they just want American influence out of their country. And what we've seen in the past is, if anyone goes against the United States or goes against certain former or present colonial powers, there's usually a coup d'etat and a change of government that is more in alignment with the status quo. So if you look at Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, and all the different leaders that have come through Africa who try to make change for the people in a positive sense that was going to benefit everyone, they're usually replaced immediately by somebody who's going to maintain status quo, and funds are held. Let's just say that the deals that are done serve the new person who came in and the people that they want to be served, and everybody else basically suffers. And this is my challenge when I see the wholesale selling of key resources in places around the world that would benefit from doing it themselves. They can make their own factories. They can do their own manufacturing. They can take raw materials and process them and sell those finished goods to the world and create jobs and change their economies for the better. But the rest of the world likes Africa as it is, a raw material, like a flea market, as opposed to a mall. They don't want it to be Sherway. They want it to be the flea market, and they're happy to keep it the flea market because they own the malls.
There you go. All right. Anything else you want to say about US dollar and BRICS?
No, I'm going to.
No problem. So I'm just going to, as you're setting up the next thing here, so want to say hello to Taylor Fulgerquist, an ACB therapist. Thank you for joining on the Instagram Live, but we're going to shut it down here. Just wanted to get a segment about the USA and BRICS and some other things that came up about Africa and global economics there. If you want to catch the rest of the conversation live or on the replay, go to the Dr. Vibes Show site on YouTube. And we'll continue it live, where I think we're going to be talking about inflation next. But I want to say thank you for everyone who joined. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Have a great day.
Okay.
All right. And two more comments here. Trevor says, hello, good morning, Dr. Vibe. Great listening to Fitness IQ Star. He's not Fitness IQ Star. Fitness IQ Cam is their own person. Mr. Harris is his own person. And Hayden Morrison goes, gangsta. Yes, what we talked about, some gangsta stuff, financial gangsta stuff has been going on for years. So Wayne, continue on.
Perfect. So let's talk about the digitization of the U.S. currency. So what are we going to do? We're going to have a digital dollar, and we're going to use these credits and all those good things. Here's the challenge with that. There are certain businesses and certain industries that work on cash. Are you going to throw ones and zeros at somebody on the stage? Right? No, it's crazy. It's binary, right? You can throw. Here you go. Here's 1110001. I'm sending you a binary, right? We're already using digital currency. Dr. Vibe, if I owe you $50, I don't have to drive to where you are to give you $50 cash. I just go to my app in my bank and I put Dr. Vibe's email address and I send $50. It's digital. We're already doing it. So the big fear is what? The fear is privacy, right? When I transact with you, when I'm on the road at Caravana this summer and someone is selling oxtail and I know them and I buy that oxtail on the road, rice and peas and my coleslaw at my festival, and I get a cola champagne because that's how I roll. And I get that meal. I pay my $25, $30 or whatever it is with tip. I'm doing it with cash.
You hope it's 25 by that time.
Yeah,
Go on.
exactly. I'm doing it with cash.
Yeah.
And no one knows I made that transaction. This is the reason digital currency, which is already here, will proliferate because it's easy to move money. When you do a wire transfer, I'm in the UK, you're in the United States, we want to do business and we're going to do a wire transfer. I'm not sending money by Canada Post. I am wiring you the money, digital, ones and zeros. But there's a receipt on your end and there's a receipt on my end. What people are afraid of is the fact that they're always going to be receipts, whether I want them or not. And that's the challenge. If I don't have a receipt, then I wasn't there. You get to pull a Shaggy, it wasn't me. Right? So
yes.
If you want to pull a Shaggy, you need cash.
Yep.
Imagine this. Dr. Vibe, we have digital currency. We're the government of Canada. I have emergency powers. And we're not going to allow you to use your money beyond 5 kilometers from your home because we have a digital curfew.
Wow.
Right? So I told you stay your butt at home. But you say, I got to go to Oshawa because so-and-so is speaking in Oshawa, and you get in your car under lockdown, and you go to Oshawa, and then you go to pay at the venue for a cola champagne, and it doesn't work. Not only does it not work, they know you were there. And now you receive a ticket in the mail, a citation saying, we told you to stay in Toronto. We see that you were in Oshawa trying to buy oxtail. Here's your citation. Couldn't happen? I don't know. Many movies about this, and those movies are reflection. Art's a reflection of reality, or whatever they say. So there are certain industries when a guy is paving his driveway on my street, he will send a runner, and the runner will go to every other neighbor on the street saying, hey, we're doing the driveway for this person here. We're going to bring in the big trucks and the big asphalt anyway. We're happy to give you a 10% discount if you do yours at the same time.
Right.
And you're like, hell yeah, I'm saving 10%. My neighbor took the original hit. He negotiated whatever he negotiated, but everybody else in the block saves money because one truck has to come one time rather than 5 trucks. I said to the guy, he says, listen, it's going to be $3,000 for you to do that. I said, $3,000? What if it's cash? Well, then it's $2,500. And I say, I'll go get the cash. And you save money. And the government loses taxable dollars. So the key here, always follow the money. Digital currency means the government knows more about you than you want them to know. And the government can control your access. How do we know? Ask the truckers who were on Parliament last year or the year before.
Yes.
All the money they had in their bank accounts was seized by the government of Canada.
Yes.
Because they were protesting, and someone in Parliament Hill said they were Nazis, and all their money was frozen. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, including the GoFundMes for the court cases to help them get their defense. Real, right here in our backyard. So digital currency is already here. It has a place. I love using. I don't use my debit card, and for reasons that I've already explained. But I'll say again for those who are new: when you use your debit card, please ensure that you call your bank and remove tap from your debit card. Why? Because if someone walks beside you and they have a reader in their pocket, they will pull money from your card. They will tap you. And your money's gone. So then you see money gone from your account, and you're like, where's the money? You call the bank's going to do an investigation, but you may not get back the money because it's debit. It's your money. But when it's credit, it's their
money. Good point.
So when you get frauded by credit, the first thing they do is, no problem, we'll take those charges off and we'll send you a new card. Keep spending, please.
Because it's their money.
It's their money, right? But when it's your money, we got to do an investigation. We might be able to get it back, might not be able to get it back. I do nothing, especially online. I do nothing with my debit card online. Everything I do online is PayPal or credit.
Credit. Okay.
Because the debit card, you may or may not get back the money. You definitely don't want tap on it. So use your debit card sparingly. The reason you use your credit card is A, it helps with your credit score from utilization, but B, you might also be getting points and rewards, scene points, travel points, whatever.
Yeah.
So use your credit card and then pay it off at the end of the month so you have no balance. This is how you win with credit. Pay the card off every month, use a credit card, rack up those points, fly anywhere you want to fly in the world for free because you have those points, and the credit card company is not benefiting from the interest that you are paying them because you're not paying them interest because you're paying your balance off every month. So don't use your debit card. Digital currency, like I said, the government of Canada has proven what they will do if given the powers to do so. Govern yourself accordingly, right? Right now, it's optional. You can have a debit card or a credit card. You decide. You have a bank account. You can do online banking or not, right? You see what they're doing. They're closing down branches because when they think about the cost of the 20, 30, 40 employees they need to have
Exactly.
in rotation,
Yep.
plus the rent, plus the,
Yep.
the hydro, the benefits,
Yep. It ain't worth it.
pensions. Or I could close the bench and have the ATM machines. That's what they're doing. So I see seniors struggling out in the winter to go pay their bills
Yeah.
and line up and stand up in a line that could be 10, 12 deep.
Yep.
There is a business line that's very short.
Yes.
Business people line up and you see them doing their receipts and the cash and everything. They're doing the thing. The business line is there. There is no wicket for seniors. The seniors are the ones who use the branches.
Yep. Exactly.
And I see old ladies in front of me or behind me. I say, no, you can go ahead. You can go ahead. Because I know why she's there. She's there to get enough money to go to the grocery store.
And
she
live
does
and
things cash
survive.
to survive. Right?
Really?
And she's using cash and she's paying her bills. Now, I don't know if with a senior account, whether they charge you per bill, depends on the account you have and the bank you're with. But these seniors are on fixed income and inflation is eating into their ability to buy. Notice that CPP and OAS don't change with inflation. It is what it is. Now, if you have a pension, private pension that's indexed to inflation, when inflation goes up, your income goes up. So this is why everybody wants to work for the government, because it's called a defined benefit pension. A defined benefit pension means I'm going to take care of it as long as you work here, and it will be here as long as you work here. And you might get, some of these pensions are your best 6 years income. You get 80% of your best 6 years. So your best 6 years are going to be your last 6 years usually.
Mm-hmm.
So you get 80% of that. So people have pensions of 6 figures.
Yep.
Right? These people are living great.
Absolutely.
But only 17% of Canadians have a defined benefit pension. 83% of people have what we call a defined contribution pension, which is an RRSP or a registered pension plan. And these are, you have to contribute, they contribute. But it's not indexed to inflation. You just pick an investment and you hope for the best.
Okay.
Okay. So we got the digital currency, we got the inflation, we've got the US dollar and the BRICS, and we've got leverage.
There you
we
go.
covered it.
All right. A few last comments before we let you go. Hayden Morrison says digital currency is here because so many people have issues with the current economic status quo.
Digital currency is here. Digital currency is here is to increase speed and to bypass government. Right? So that's why crypto is here. Crypto is here to create a walled garden around to protect people who want to do transactions with each other without the government knowing.
It's like a dark web.
Right. And they don't want to do it with cash, because if you want to go to the United States, you can't have more than $10,000 on you cash. Right? Because you have to report that money. More than $10,000, they're checking for anti-money laundering.
Okay. Hayden says, oops, I meant crypto.
There you go.
All right. But Hayden also asks, isn't digital currency transactions private where only the parties involved know about the transactions?
Great question, Hayden. Depends on the platform, right? If it's crypto, that is true. The blockchain knows and nobody else knows. But if it's digital currency, my main bank debit card is digital currency. It's a piece of plastic. I put it into a machine and it gives me cash. I can go to a store and buy a coffee with a piece of plastic. It's digital
most
currency.
people do.
Yeah, it's digital currency.
All right. Well, I think we covered it all today, my brother. Very well done. Any last comment?
You froze there. So any last comments?
Any last comments before you make a move?
No, I'm telling people, and I'll say it at the end of every show, any debt you have that is not making you money, get it to zero as quickly as possible. Get all credit card debt, all revolving credit debt, all installation debt. Installation debt is like, don't pay a cent event and you're paying a cent every month. Get rid of those. Get rid of all revolving debt and all installation debt. You bought furniture and you're going to pay for 3 years or whatever. You have a car, you're going to pay for 5 years. Let's try to get rid of all revolving debt that doesn't make us money. Because if winter does come, you need to be cash rich. You need to have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. And I used to say 3, but after COVID, I say 6. And honestly, it should be a year. Because we went to COVID in March of 2020, and we're just now getting out. It's 3 years and 3 months. And it's still rough.
Yeah. And for some people, it's rougher now than it was before.
Correct. And when people said, "Oh, going to tech," and people went into tech, and now tech is laying off 10,000 people at a time.
Oh my gosh, so many people.
So all I'm going to say to you is, you should have, people are going to say multiple sources of income. Multiple sources of income require multiple streams of thought and can be a distraction. But you have to have at least one side hustle beyond your full-time job that brings in consistent income. So if you're making $5,000 a month at work, find something that will bring in $2,000 on the side, whether you have a job or not.
Yeah.
And when you think about your base salary is what you bring in to match what you were making at work without you having to get out of bed. So I want you to think about it. If you're a landlord and you're renting, you live in a triplex, you live in one, and there's 2 units upstairs and the building's paid off. If those 2 units upstairs cover all your expenses and give you an income, you're retired. So people are out there saying, I want more money, but I can't work any more hours. Everybody knows the math works against you if you start doing overtime.
Yep.
But I have people who have variable mortgages, and if this guy doesn't get out and work 20 hours a week, which is beyond where he should be working, where the taxes are going to kill him, he will lose the house. So he has to do it. Right? So everyone who's on the call who can hear my voice, if you have debt and you can manage it, you don't know how to manage it, call me. We have a facility and a platform to help you restructure and reorganize your debt, right? If we can't do it, no cost to you to investigate, but if you can do it, it could save you thousands of dollars. I had a lady, she had about $42,500 in debt. I got that down to $12,000. She's out of debt.
Wow.
Facts. I have people on this session that are in the comments that they had a lady with $455,000 worth of debt, got that down to about 13 grand, right?
Yep.
Now we can do those things depending on what assets you have, but we can get a lot done for you, and you don't have to be paying through the nose and never paying the minimum payment and never getting out of debt. We can show you how to do that, and maybe that's comments for another show.
Absolutely. Some last conversation topics here. Fitness IQ says, "Oh, he's still comment by Ray. Okay, hold on. Fitness, Trevor." It's Dr. Vibe, but I'll take the misspelling. And Mr. Harris, great conversation. I've been called worse. I'm not a person of divide, though. I'm not divide. I'm
divide. Wow. sounds like a villain
Exactly.
in the black community.
Ray McMillan says, I would replace multiple streams of income with passive streams of income. No real distraction created to earn it. Great convo this morning.
Thank you, Ray. And I agree with you. You don't want to have to get out of bed to make the money.
And then Fitness and Q says, yes, Raymond. Mr. Harris, thank you as always for making our lives better. Enjoy the month. I hope we will continue to get hot weather. And we are speaking that you will move on to the next phase, which will be more light than darkness. And all the best to you and their family.
Thank you. Same to you, Dr. Weiman, and everybody on the call. Cheers.
All right. Be well. All right, family. Another great epic conversation done by Wayne Harris. And his contact information has been up there most of the session. I'm just going to leave it on for another second. And you know what? It's gone. And some last things here. Trevor says, my finger's not cooperating today. Sorry about the misspelling. No worry, Trevor. I haven't been called divide though. That's a new one. That's a new one. Divide. I don't aim to be that. Fitness IQ Cam, amazing conversation. Thanks for your support. Before we close it down for the day, a few last things. As always, please join. If you haven't, please like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook and LinkedIn. And on any platforms too, like what Ryan's doing, his own name, and also the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. So that's also, would you like to join the Discord group, our private chat group for all you family, where we can talk about things in between the Monday and Friday shows. So email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com and you'll get an invite. Some other things, if you want to contact me, there's my website, the drvibeshow.com, email address I've given you already, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter at drvibeshow, and Instagram at the drvibeshow. You can watch replays up here. So we got that. And just some more last comments. Great way to start the weekend. Thank you, Fitness IQ Cam. Aldefino, great show. Thank you. All of you made it a great show. And the smiley emojis by Trevor. Thank you so much for your continued support, everybody. Also, I will say, would you like to promote your business or service on the show? Contact me via email. And then again, I want to leave with the two comments I opened up with by Dr. George Fraser. First quote by Dr. Fraser, your partner is either going to make your life heaven or hell. And then specifically saying to Black people, our people will not change when they see the light. They'll change when they feel the heat. That's one last comment. We're going to leave. And Trevor, enjoy your weekend. Much appreciated with the work you are doing, Dr. Vibe. Thank you. Well, it's not me, it's all of us. And for me, though, it's heart work. Not work, it's heart work. All right, so this is how we close it off. Let me just do one quick thing here. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. If you're watching this live or sometime in the next little bit, just have a good day wherever you are, because I was saying have a good weekend, but just have a good day wherever you are. And remember, just don't manage your time, manage your energy, and we will see you on Monday. And hopefully Ryan will be back with me. Be well and keep the faith.